When we walk through a grocery store, we see a small box of berries, a bag of pistachios, or a pack of nuts, and many of us ask the same question.
$6.49 for these, and almost $9 for the nuts. Why does this cost so much?
At first, it looks simple. Just fruit, just nuts, just something grown from the ground. But the price tag does not tell the whole story. Behind that small package, there may be years of waiting, workers in the field, expensive machines, water systems, cooling rooms, packing boxes, trucks, and a lot of risk. And here is the surprising part. One crop on this list can bring around $70,000 per acre in gross crop value, but still carry heavy costs before the farmer makes a profit. Another crop is so fragile that one hard squeeze can turn perfect fruit into waste. And one crop hides inside beer, but needs tall poles, drying rooms, machines, and cold storage before it ever reaches the glass. In this video, we are counting down 5 crops in America that cost way more than most people think. So let's start our countdown. Number 5. Hops, the hidden crop inside beer. At number 5, we have hops. You may never buy hops at the grocery store, and you may never see them on a dinner plate. But if someone buys beer, they are paying for one of the most specialized crops in America. Hops are the green flower cones that give beer its smell, bitterness, and flavor. A hop field looks like a wall of green. Tall poles stand across the land, wires run overhead, and vines climb higher than a person can reach. Farmers do not usually plant hops from regular seed. They use rhizomes or young plants. As the vines grow, workers train them by hand onto strings. Before harvest, the farmer has already paid for poles, cables, irrigation, plants, labor, and special equipment. 1 acre can produce around 2,000 pounds of hops at around $5 per pound or more. That can mean about $10,000 to $11,000 in gross crop value. At harvest, the vines are cut down and taken to machines that separate the hop cones from leaves and stems. Then the cones must be dried carefully. Too wet, and they can spoil. Too dry, and they lose quality. After drying, hops are pressed into bales or made into pellets, then stored cold. So hops may be hidden inside a drink, but the farming behind them is serious business. They need trellises, hand training machines, drying rooms, cold storage, and careful handling. That is why this quiet crop costs more than most people think. Number 4. Raspberries, the fragile crop. At number 4, we have raspberries. A raspberry looks light as air, but in the field, it must be treated almost like glass. It is not like a potato. You cannot toss it into a sack or dump it into a truck. One hard squeeze, and the value is gone. That is why fresh raspberries are usually picked by hand. Workers move slowly down the rows, choosing only the ripe berries. A picker lifts one berry at a time gently, because one bruise can turn perfect fruit into waste. And raspberries do not all ripen at once. Workers must return to the same field again and again. Farmers usually plant young raspberry plants or canes, not seeds, directly into the field. These plants need support, irrigation, pruning, and protection from pests and disease. 1 acre can produce around 11,000 to 12,000 pounds in a strong year. At farm prices, that can mean around $28,000 to $29,000 in gross crop value per acre. But from the moment raspberries are picked, the clock starts ticking. Within hours, those small containers must move from warm field air into cold storage, or the fruit begins to lose value. That is why a small box of raspberries can feel expensive. You are paying for careful hands, repeated picking, fast cooling, small packaging, and a fruit that does not forgive mistakes. That little box may be small, but the work behind it is not. Number 3. Almonds, the orchard, the bees, and the water. At number 3, we have almonds. Almonds are familiar. We see them as snacks in almond milk, cereals, desserts, and trail mix. But almonds are not a simple crop. In spring, An almond orchard can look almost like snow, with white and pink blossoms covering the trees. Beautiful, yes, but also expensive. Almonds grow on trees, so the farmer is not planting a quick seasonal crop. He is planting an orchard, and an orchard takes years. Farmers plant young almond trees, then pay for water, pruning, fertilizer, pest control, equipment, and labor long before full production. Almonds also need bees. Beehives are placed along the orchard, and thousands of bees move from flower to flower, pollinating the blossoms. Without strong pollination, the crop can suffer. One bearing acre can produce a few thousand pounds, and in a good year, the gross crop value per acre can be several $1,000s. At harvest, machines shake the trees until almonds fall to the ground. The nuts dry on the orchard floor. Then sweepers move them into rows, and pickup machines collect them. But even then, the almond is not ready. It must be hulled, shelled, sorted, cleaned, graded, processed, packed, and shipped. Water is also a major part of the story. Almond orchards need steady water, especially in dry areas. When water is expensive or limited, costs rise quickly. So when you see a bag of almonds, remember, you are paying for years of orchard care, bees, irrigation, harvest machines, drying, shelling, sorting, and processing. That almond may be small, but the system behind it is huge. Number 2. Pistachios. Patience in a shell. At number 2, we have pistachios. A pistachio looks simple in a bowl, just a small green nut inside a shell. But behind that shell is years of waiting. Pistachios are not a one-season crop. They grow on trees, and those trees take years before they produce a strong crop. Farmers plant young pistachio trees, then pay for water, pruning, land care, pest control, and equipment long before the orchard reaches full production. That waiting time is one of the biggest hidden costs. One bearing acre may bring around $7,000 to $8,000 in gross crop value, depending on yield and price. But that acre also carries years of investment. When harvest finally comes, everything speeds up. Machines shake the trees. Nuts fall. Trucks move quickly toward the processing plant. Speed matters because pistachios have an outer hull. If they sit too long after harvest, quality can suffer. Inside the plant, they are hulled, washed, dried, sorted, and graded. Open shell nuts are usually more valuable, while closed shells, stained shells, and damaged nuts bring less. So even with machines, pistachios are costly. They need years of orchard investment, steady water, harvest machines, fast processing, and careful sorting. They are not just nuts. They are patience in a shell. Number 1. Strawberries. The hand labor crop. And now, number 1. Strawberries. This one may surprise many people. Strawberries are everywhere, in grocery stores, cakes, smoothies, jams, breakfast bowls, and school lunches. Because they are so common, many people think they must be easy to grow. But strawberries are one of the most labor-heavy crops in America. At sunrise, a strawberry field may look peaceful, but the work has already begun. Long raised beds stretch across the field, covered with plastic mulch, with drip lines hidden beneath to feed water directly to the plants. Farmers do not usually grow commercial strawberries by spreading seeds. They plant young strawberry plants into prepared beds. In some systems, 1 acre may need 17,000 to 18,000 plants. Before the first berry is sold, the farmer has already paid for plants, bed preparation, irrigation, mulch, labor, and field care. Then comes harvest. Workers move slowly down the rows, bending again and again, choosing only the berries that are red enough, firm enough, and ready for the box. Fresh strawberries are picked by hand. They must be handled gently and cooled quickly, and strawberries do not ripen all at once. The same field may be picked many times during the season. 1 acre can produce around 50,000 pounds of strawberries on average. In gross crop value, that can be around $70,000 per acre, but the costs are also high. Plants, workers, harvest crews, packing, cooling, trays, containers, land, water, fuel, and transportation. Rain at the wrong time can damage the fruit. A labor shortage can leave ripe berries in the field. A delay in cooling can lower quality. A price drop can hurt the grower quickly. That is why strawberries are number one. They look sweet, bright, and simple. But behind that little red fruit is one of the most intense farming systems in America. That strawberry may be sweet, but the business behind it is very expensive. So there we have it. 5 crops that cost way more than most people think. But expensive does not only mean money. Sometimes, expensive means years of waiting before a tree gives a real harvest. Sometimes, it means workers bending in the field, picking fruit carefully by hand. Sometimes, it means bees, water, machines, drying rooms, cooling trucks, and perfect timing. And sometimes, it means risk, because one storm, one delay, one labor shortage, or one bad market price can change everything. Hops, raspberries, almonds, pistachios, and strawberries all tell the same story in different ways. Food is not just grown. It is planned, protected, harvested, packed, cooled, moved, and handled with care. So the next time a small box of berries or a bag of nuts feels expensive, remember, the real cost is not just the price tag. It is the hard work behind it. And maybe, after knowing that journey, these crops do not just look expensive anymore. They look valuable. Subscribe for more.